Hello, and welcome to Pass the Hot Sauce, a Roswell podcast. I'm Larina Rose.
I'm Eliza Ora.
And I'm Lisa Abigail, and we are coming to you this week with a mini-sode. We'll be back next week with a full-length episode.
Today we will be sorting Roswell characters into Hogwarts Houses.
Yay!
And we're very excited about it.
Well, two of us are very excited.
I am also here.
Lisa is here to provide her predictions about Hogwarts Houses, having no real knowledge of Hogwarts Houses.
I know a little bit. So I think Hufflepuffs are nice, and they're like maybe the one that your dog would come up to and just immediately take to. And Slytherins are supposed to be mean, but maybe they're just like super logical and they have a hard time making emotional connections, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Okay.
I think Ravenclaws are really smart and they do a lot of work behind the scenes, but they don't really get a lot of the glory because that all goes to Gryffindor, who are like show offs, but also they kind of save the world sometimes. That is the extent of my knowledge about Hogwarts houses.
Not bad.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Oh, okay, great.
All right, so let's dive in. What do we think Max should be sorted into?
Is there a house for boring people?
Yes.
What house do you consider to be for boring people, Elisa?
Well, no, that's not. I mean, every house can have boring people in it. Every house probably does have boring people in it.
This is true.
For Max, I feel pretty strongly that Max is a Gryffindor.
I do as well.
And the reasons are that in the research that I did, Gryffindor is described as valuing courage, bravery, nerve, and chivalry.
I feel like Gryffindors are also often leaders, and he definitely takes charge of the group and wants his way to be the way that everything operates. And I think that would be a very Gryffindor character.
Yes, and that's mainly what I said too, that he is a pretty natural leader. And it was pretty brave, though maybe dumb, to trust Liz and tell her all of his secrets.
Yes. And nobody ever said that the Gryffindors are the smartest. They kind of act from their gut and take charge.
And from their heart.
Yes. Okay, what do we think for his sister Isabel?
Is there a sexy house?
Eliza?
Why don't you go first with this one, Larina?
I've struggled a little bit with Isabel.
I did too.
And I think that she's a Slytherin.
See, I was thinking Slytherin for a while, and I actually settled on Gryffindor. I settled on Gryffindor because I do think she has a lot of courage and even more nerve. And I mean, I know siblings aren't always in the same house. I mean, and that extends to twins, but I do feel like she's a Gryffindor. But I also could see her as a Slytherin. So, a Harry Potter, if you will.
This could also be possible.
Maybe one of her alien powers is talking to snakes.
It could be.
Could be.
Okay, what do we think about the third in our trio of aliens, Michael?
Oh, did y'all say Gryffindor was the impulsive house? Because he's in the impulsive house. Whichever one that is, that's where Michael belongs.
For Michael, I actually said Slytherin. Because he is cunning and ambitious, even when he shouldn't be ambitious. He likes to just go do instead of just talk. And he'll do anything to get his way, including scaling buildings, breaking to a sheriff's office, and stealing a car. What did you say?
I struggled with him because I think I'm also biased because I just love Michael. But like I
do
see
too.
the really like kind, like the really kind part of him that's hidden, and I almost think that he's a Hufflepuff underneath. He might be trying to be something else or putting a front up of being something else, but I think that he's a Hufflepuff.
I can see that.
I think that he's a cutie pie.
That's the 5th house.
Okay, great.
Cutie pies. All right. Next up, we have Liz.
What's the extra super duper boring house?
Different from the just boring house. That's super
she's
duper
on a
boring.
whole other level of boring. Like the Sorting Hat went on her head and it was like, ugh, pass.
Like, how did she get in? Larina, what did you say?
I mean, maybe it's cliche, but I do think that she's a Ravenclaw. She definitely values knowledge and having a system in place to go through things, to go through life. Like, she values like a systematic approach. And we've talked about this a little bit in the podcast already, how they talk about how she's smart, but we don't really get to see her being smart. But they do talk about that she's smart. She obviously values knowledge, even if the writers aren't letting us always see that in the show. I think that is supposed to be a core element about her, and I think that she's a Ravenclaw. Thoughts, Elisa?
I totally agree. And I wrote Ravenclaw, and then I wrote hear me out, because I figured if Lisa knew about that, that Ravenclaw is supposed to be smart people, that she would be like, but wait, because... Yeah, you're right, Larina, that, they talk about her being smart. She doesn't always do things that are smart, but I feel like she's had her moments. And she does, for the same reason you said, Larina, because she does value education and learning and seeking knowledge.
And when Topolsky suggests to her maybe taking life as it comes, her response is no.
So let's move on to Maria. Where do we think Maria falls in this world?
Maria's in the fun house.
Uh-huh.
Where they just party all the time. And they're sexually fluid.
Like, that kind of sounds like Slytherin to me. But because I feel like they party all the time and are sexually fluid.
But
she's not a
logical.
Slytherin. So I'm just saying that what you just described makes me think of Slytherin, but I had a hard time placing Maria into a house. That I feel was thinking Hufflepuff some of the time.
I was thinking Hufflepuff too. That's what I leaned the strongest into for Maria.
But I something didn't feel totally 100% about it for me. But yeah, Hufflepuff is definitely what I'm leaning towards. She's a good friend. She's a loyal friend. Even when she was terrified of the secrets she was told, she stayed loyal and kept the secrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of my reasoning too, that she's a strong friend, that she values the people in her life a lot. So next we have Alex. We haven't seen a whole lot of Alex yet, but he's been in a few episodes. Where do we stand on Alex?
I think whichever house Alex is in, he's sitting in the common room alone, just hoping someone will come up to him and notice the book he's reading or the album he's listening to and start a conversation. Because he's just so sad.
Oh, poor Alex.
I feel like by that definition, it sounds like that sounds like Gryffindor. I could imagine him in the Gryffindor common room doing that.
Yeah.
And I kind of was thinking Gryffindor for him for a little bit, but I ended up settling on Hufflepuff because he's a loyal friend also, and patience, I guess, is valued by Hufflepuff House, and he has been very patient with his friends as they lie to him about what they're whispering about.
Yeah, but he's still standing by them. I definitely put him in Hufflepuff as well. He has a good heart.
Hopefully some of those kind Hufflepuffs will come over to him and be like, I just got this new puppy. Want to play with my puppy? And then he'll have a friend.
Aww.
Well, also, if he's in Hufflepuff, then theoretically, everyone would be loyal friends to him. Because if they're all Hufflepuffs, then they're all loyal too.
Yeah, he needs that.
All right. Where would we put Kyle?
I had a really hard time with Kyle.
Kyle's character changes so much
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the first couple episodes to later that he's basically two different people.
Yeah, I am leaning towards Slytherin for Kyle, though. He is getting kind of calculated and
Mm-hmm.
um mean. I mean, I don't want to say all Slytherins are mean, but that
Mean
just
isn't technically a characteristic of Slytherin, but yes,
no, it's not.
those of us who read the books, we know that.
Yeah, we tend to be a little biased towards that. But I mean, I'm trying not to base it just on that. He's just starting to get very um yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to say what I want to say.
He's also not that thoughtful though. Like he doesn't have a good plan. In the last episode we saw him that we talked about, which was 285 South, we saw him just get in a car and follow Max and Liz to Texas, but he clearly didn't know what he was doing. He was just like, I'm angry and emotional, so I'm going to do this. And then he got there and was just like, oh, yeah, you should come home with me, I guess.
Maybe he's a
Like, he didn't
Gryffindor
think it
then.
through.
Yeah.
Is he a Gryffindor?
So, what I have here, my notes say that Gryffindor values courage, bravery, nerve, and chivalry, and Slytherin values ambition, cunning, leadership, and resourcefulness.
So maybe he's like a Gryffindor who thinks he's or a Slytherin who thinks he's a Gryffindor. Because like
Yeah.
he wants to be chivalrous and brave, but really he's just kind
like
of
cunning.
I don't know if he is though.
Right.
Poor Kyle. Kyle doesn't live up to the standards of any of the houses. Sorry.
I can't figure
Kyle is
him
not a
out.
wizard. Maybe Kyle is a muggle.
Kyle's a muggle.
Honestly, I feel like that makes the most sense.
Oh,
poor Kyle.
If any listeners want to tweet at us or email us and let us know if you can think of a better house for Kyle and can back it up, can give us a few reasons, we would love to hear from you.
We're at Roswell Hot Sauce on social media or roswellhotsauce@gmail.com.
Yes. All right, so now we've got our law enforcement. Valenti and Topolsky are our last two main characters for today. So where would we put Sheriff Valenti and his beautiful blue eyes?
Does he get to be one of the, I don't know what they're called, but the grown-ups who like hang around and try to shepherd the kids and they're like, it's bedtime, kids, or like, stop talking to that painting, kids?
So a professor?
I feel like they're professors.
But there's like, isn't there a person who's assigned to each house who's like that house's grown-up person?
Yes, and they're
like
professors.
Den parent?
There should be den parents. There absolutely should be.
Right?
Like counselors
It's
or
a boarding school. There should be someone in charge of this. Who is watching these children all the time?
Nobody. That's the problem.
Oh my gosh.
Ghosts, maybe? Each house has an assigned professor who is the head of the house and an assigned ghost.
I'm sorry, they have an assigned. Do the ghosts get paid for this?
No.
Is there compensation?
No, but they can't really leave the building, I think.
Hashtag ghost rights.
Yeah. Hermione will get right on that.
Okay.
Yes, she will.
I think Valenti
she really would.
seems like he's a Slytherin, though, because he's very calculated. Like, he's brave, of course, and he is pretty ambitious, but like he has a plan and he knows what he's doing and he's on top of things. I don't know. Y'all are the experts. What do you think?
I think you could be right about that.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hesitant to put him there just because he's our villain, so stereotypical, but I think that his personality does put him there.
Is he our villain, or is Topolsky our villain, or are they both our villains?
They're kind of both our villain right now.
It kind of feels like they both are right now.
Yeah.
But then they're also villains with each other, kind of. They're like butting heads. So like, I guess common enemies do not always bring people together.
Yeah.
Because they have a common enemy, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right, and where would we put Ms. Topolsky?
Which one's the house for people who are really bad at their jobs?
I mean,
they're all Hogwarts students, so
yeah,
they all have a great education.
Yeah,
and aren't bad at their jobs.
Well, they don't have jobs yet.
missed out on a lot of the secret agent training because being covert is not amongst her skill set.
No. But I do think compared to our other characters, because I don't know that anyone's really all that covert, I put her in Slytherin.
They're all every adult in Roswell is terrible at their job. Every single one of them.
Except for Milton.
Milton is great at his job.
Yes, of course. Sorry. Pardon me. Milton is great at his weird job that makes no sense.
All right. So what do we feel like for Topolsky?
I put her in Slytherin. I said, you know, even though it is cliche because she's a villain and all, I thought that she is ambitious. You know, she gets in trouble and she's like, I will do better. I
agree with you. I'll put her in Slytherin. I'll go with it.
And she's cunning and she's resourceful using, you know, the knowledge she's accruing about these students.
Now, she should not be a den parent because she should not be left alone with any of these children based on her extremely inappropriate behavior with Alex and others also.
Yes.
Yeah, keep her away from the kids.
She shouldn't be a teacher.
No.
She shouldn't be with kids.
She can be like the creepy groundskeeper who lives somewhere off campus.
Somewhere far away.
Oh.
Yeah. Not like Hagrid. He seems nice.
Yeah. Not the gamekeeper, the groundskeeper like Argus Filch.
Yes.
Yep, that's what I was thinking of. Because I know the Harry Potter characters, and that's one of them.
That's right.
Do we want a bonus? Where would we put Milton, the UFO museum and research center owner and operator?
Milton's a Hufflepuff.
Yes.
I feel like he's a straight up Hufflepuff.
Definitely.
He's so nice.
Yeah, he's just like a smiley, helpful dude.
Yeah, definitely a puff.
And like Lisa's description at the beginning of this, which I thought was great, I feel like dogs would just run right up to him and know he's a trustful person.
Yes.
Trustworthy person.
That he gives good belly rubs.
I bet he does. So, one thing that I learned about Hogwarts Houses, if I can share.
Yes, of course.
That I thought was interesting, or two things, is that, so originally the founders, so they're named after the founders of the school, the 4 founders, and they handpicked students to be in their houses. But as they got older and they were worried about how students would be sorted after they were gone, Godric Gryffindor, the story has it, took off his hat, and they all added their knowledge to the hat so that this sorting hat could adequately place students in the proper houses with all of their knowledge of the characteristics of each of the houses.
And what each professor valued.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that I found was interesting that I didn't know is that according to J.K. Rowling, each of the houses corresponds to an element. So Gryffindor is fire, Hufflepuff is earth, Ravenclaw is air, and Slytherin is water.
I could see that.
And I haven't really had time to process that, but I found it interesting.
Yeah, that is more, it adds another layer of things to think about. Thank you for joining us tonight for this minisode where we sorted everybody into Hogwarts houses.
Join us again in 2 weeks for our next minisode when we will be discussing the 1994 TV movie called Roswell.
You can find this movie on YouTube. We will post a link in our show notes. We, however, do not take any responsibility for any copyright infringement that may be happening on YouTube with having this movie on there, but that's how we're going to watch the movie. And if you want to watch it with us, we'll let you know how.
And join us next Tuesday for our discussion of Roswell Season 1, Episode 7, River Dog. And please, if you are enjoying this podcast, subscribe to us and leave us a rating and review on iTunes. It really helps other people find the podcast.
You can find us online at roswellhotsauce.com and on Twitter and Instagram at roswellhotsauce.
And you can always shoot us an email and let us know how we're doing at roswellhotsauce@gmail.com.
Until next time, never tickle a sleeping dragon.
It's good advice.
Yep. I mean, I would say just don't tickle a dragon, period. Is it going to be any less pissed at you if it's awake?